morning, dear students, and welcome to today's session. In this particular session, we are going to continue with our discussion of the poem John Brown by Bob Dylan. So far, we have done what is an anti-war poem. We discussed about the poet Bob Dylan. We also have done a short introduction to the poem, what basically the poem is about. And we also discussed that how far John Brown is a lyrical ballad. Then we went on to discuss the first 6 stanzas of the poem and the critical analysis of those stanzas. And today in this particular class, we are going to discuss the remaining 6 stanzas of the poem, that is from stanza 7 to stanza 12. So before we proceed with today's class, let us try to quickly recapitulate the first 6 stanzas of the poem. In the first 6 stanzas, we got to know that John Brown was a young soldier who was going to fight in a war in a foreign land. His mother was proud of him, and she expected that her son would win many medals which they could put on their wall after his return from the battlefield. John's mother boasted about her son to everyone in the neighborhood. She made sure everyone understood that her son was a soldier who was going to the battlefield and would make her proud. She used to receive letters from her son, and whenever she used to get a letter from her son, she used to show her neighbors the letter while bragging about her son's uniform and achievements. However, these letters ceased to come. 10 months passed and there was no news of John. Finally, one day a letter came telling John's mother to go to the station and meet her son, who was coming home from the war. The mother smiled at the thought of seeing her soldier son, who was returning home after being victorious in the war. She went right down to the railway station and looked for her son everywhere, but could not find him. At last, when all the people moved away, she saw her son in a condition that she could not believe her eyes. So we have done till here, and today we'll be continuing from this particular point. So we'll be doing from stanza 7 to stanza 12. So let us first try to understand the stanza 7 and 8. Oh, his face was all shot up, and his hands was all blown off. And he wore a metal brace around his waist. He whispered, kind of slow, in a voice she did not know, while she could not even recognize his face. Oh Lord, not even recognize his face. Oh, tell me, my darling son, pray tell me what they done. How is it you come to be this way? He tried his best to talk, but his mother could hardly move, and the mother had to turn her face away. So let us try to understand these 2 stanzas. In this particular section of the poem, Bob Dylan depicts the brutality of the war by describing the deplorable condition of John Brown. In stanza 7, Bob Dylan describes the deplorable condition of John Brown, and this depicts the brutality of the war. In this particular stanza, we come to know that John's face was all shot up and his hand all blown off. In other words, his face was severely damaged and he lost his hand in the war. The dark, brooding images of a disfigured face and of a blown off hand reflect the fatal consequences of war. John Brown, who once stood straight and tall, now wore a metal brace around his waist to support him while walking. He slowly whispered something to his mother, but she could not hear his voice. She could not even recognize the face that once used to make her happy. The brutality of the war is all too evident in this particular stanza. Dylan minces no words while providing the gruesome picture of a son whose face is all blown up and whose hand is all blown off, and who has to wear a metal brace around his waist. The debilitating. Now, what do we mean by debilitating? Debilitating means something that seriously affects someone's strength or ability to do something or to continue with the regular activities. Now, the debilitating effects of the war and the long-term consequences of it is a sad reality which many war veterans have to deal with in their day-to-day lives after a good old-fashioned war. Okay. So many war veterans, they lose some of their limbs and they are not in a position to continue with their regular activities in a normal way after the war. Same thing happens to John Brown as well. By the time John Brown returns, he has become completely a different man. A man who is thoroughly disillusioned by the idea of heroism. One who can hardly move his mouth and whose mother can barely recognize him. What follows next is the condemnation of the idea of glory by the very person who was a constituent pawn in the making of it. In stanza 8, the mother of John Brown laments the condition of her only son. She asked her son the reason for his terrible condition. John tried his best to open his mouth but could hardly move. Literally, John Brown's physical condition as a result of war did not allow him to speak. Metaphorically, he was mentally too disturbed to speak. The fascination with the war had also faded from her mother's mind, and she understood the harsh reality of war. However, in the last two lines of this stanza, the poet says that John's condition was so bad that her mother could not even look at him. Now, let us move to stanza 9 and 10. Oh, and I thought when I was there, God, what am I doing here? I am trying to kill somebody or die trying. But the thing that scared me most was when my enemy came close. And I saw that his face looked just like mine. Oh Lord, just like mine. And I could not help but think through the thunder, rolling, and sting, that I was just a puppet in a play, and through the roar and smoke, this string is finally broke, and a cannonball blew my eyes away. Now, in stanza 9 of the poem, the poet presents the disillusionment of John Brown by sarcastically questioning his mother's idea of war. He asked her if she remembered the time when he was going for war and considered it as the best thing for him to be a part of the ruthless war. John Brown told his mother about her fascination with joining the military. She was rather proud of her son, but on the battlefield, John was not proud of his services. He was instead agitated with the brutality of the war. For this reason, he says to his mother, "You wasn't there, standing in my shoes." Here, John Brown outrageously exclaimed that while he was fighting on the battleground, his mother could only feel proud of him without realizing the horrors of war and the pain he was going through on the battlefield. She could not empathize with her own son. The 10th stanza of the poem also contains the confession of the titular character, that is John Brown. According to him, when he was on the battlefield, he did not know what he was doing there. The situation made it clear that John Brown had to kill his enemy or he would be killed by someone else. This is the truth of war. There is no glory in it. In the last 3 lines, the poet presents the revelation of Brown when he came across one of the enemies. He felt that his enemy was another human being just like him. And this particular line, "and I saw that his face looked just like mine," has deep metaphorical significance or relevance. When John Brown looked at the face of his enemy in the battleground, he realized that he was not different from him. Both of them were made to fight for a cause, but in reality, both of them were the victims of the same war. When we come to see that in a war, a man kills another man or gets killed by another man, all the soldiers fighting in the war, though they are fighting on behalf of their respective countries, but they are themselves victim of the same war. They have to endure both physical and mental hardships on the battlefield. Their bodies get disfigured and at times they become crippled. And the worst part is that they get killed by their enemy. War, therefore, is so fatal that it forces a man to act inhumanly against his own race. This is what scared John Brown the most. His enemy, whom he intended to kill, looked just like him. Both the soldiers at the end were victims of the same war. They were in no way connected with the cause or consequences of the war, yet they were duty bound and had to kill their own fellow brothers. This is the harsh reality of war. Now let us go to stanza 11 and 12. And I could not help but think through the thunder rolling and sting. Through the thunder rolling and sting. Thunder here means the sound that is made by gunshots, and the smell of burning and dead soldiers means stink. In the battlefield, you get only these sounds and the smell. That I was just a puppet in a play. John Brown realized that he was merely a puppet in a play. So, all the soldiers who fight in a war are no less than puppets. They are manipulated, controlled, and played upon by the warmongers. And through the roar and smoke, this string is finally broke, and a cannonball blew my eyes away. Through roar and smoke means a loud, continuous, confused sound. Cannonball, a heavy metal ball that is shot from a cannon. As he turned away to walk, his ma was still in shock at seeing the metal brace that helped him stand. But as he turned to go, he called his mother close, and he dropped his medals down into her hand. With the bullets flying and guns roaring, John's sense of purpose went awry. Went awry means when he was on the battlefield, he started thinking away from the usual course. When he was amidst the firing of bullets and the roaring of the guns, he was so disillusioned that he started thinking along the unusual course. His power of judgment faltered. He wondered why he was there and what for he had to fight, for whose victory. The realization dawned in him that he was just a puppet in the war, a young man sent to kill or to be killed. Why? He did not know the reason. Lost in such bewilderment and numbness, John Brown stood there when a salvo from the enemy cannons ripped his eyes, blew his eyes away. Now, while narrating these harrowing details to his mother, John began to walk. His flummoxed mother, flummoxed means mother, was also equally bewildered and perplexed. And mother was still lost in her thoughts. With the metal brace weighing him down, John began to stagger forward. Calling his mother to his side, he dropped the medals he had won on her hands. It was the most valuable gift of a broken son to his devastated mother. The futility of war pounded their hearts. So thus we find that the poem ends with an ironic note. The poem began with John Brown's mother's happiness on seeing her son in the uniform of a soldier and going to the war front. She is proud of being the mother of a soldier and tells her son to bring medals after victory. She would then hang those medals on the wall as a memento of his achievement in the war. Ironically, when John Brown returns after the war, his mother is so horrified to see her son's pathetic condition that she cannot believe her eyes and turns her face away from him. The poem ends with John Brown dropping his medals into his mother's hand, but ironically, his mother stands in a shock. She got what she aspired for, but she is not happy. She is not able to overcome that shock. Now, the contrasting images of John's physical appearance before and after the war depict clearly that glorification of war is flawed. Okay, people falsely glorify war. John's last act of asking his mother to come closer to him is not to show her love or affection, but to drop his medals down into her hand. This shows that winning laurels, medals, at the cost of one's own well being is no achievement. His final act depicts that glory has nothing to do with war. All the soldiers are victims of war, not just because of their enemy, but due to the delusion of those who glorify it. The poem John Brown has presented the battlefield as a site where soldiers succumb to horrible violence and bloodshed. Therefore, those who idolize war should stop infusing the youth with such false notions of war. Only then it would be possible to save the world from the horrors of war. And all that we can do after reading this poem is owe gratitude to Bob Dylan from bringing out the horrors, the gruesome reality of warfare in such an effective way through the narration of the titular character John Brown. So that brings us to the end of this particular poem. If any doubt, you can ask me in the WhatsApp group. Thank you and stay blessed.